Interviews with haunting gurus.
It damn sure ain't Sesame Street, and he ain't Grover. Hanging with me in the dungeon is the Haunt Street creator, Chad Jensen. What's up, Chad?
What's up, man? How are you?
What's happening? Hey, so congratulations on being a major award-winning haunt.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
2018 Best Yard Haunt Walkthrough by the United Federation of Haunters, I think, wasn't it?
No, it's Arizona. It's the Arizona. Basically, we have a haunters group here, AZ Haunters, and it's just a statewide thing. And so I won that this year, which is the inaugural year, which is kind of cool to say you won the first one. So.
Oh, what, they just started doing awards this year?
Just started doing the awards this year, yeah. Got a cool little laser cut tombstone with it says best, winner best walkthrough 2018. So that was pretty cool.
Now you'll be in the Arizona Haunters Haunt Hall of Fame for
forever,
for the rest of eternity. Cool. How long's the Haunt Street been going?
So Haunt Street itself has only been going now. This is its fifth year, but I've been doing this thing, man, my whole life. So yeah, this was the fifth year that we started here. I moved into a new house and moved in, and the house we came from, they lit it up during Halloween. There was tons of trick-or-treaters. I moved into a new house. I had like 30 trick-or-treaters, and I wasn't going to be able to do that. So talked to my neighbors and said, hey, can we kind of do something? And so we ended up kind of creating this block party that we now call Haunt Street. And I have the big haunted house on the corner, and yeah, that's how it all kind of came about.
Now, is your haunt technically called something else, or do you refer to it as Haunt Street?
So I refer to it as Haunt Street because I haven't really got there yet with that, because we've been building the Haunt Street name, I guess you would say. Everything is kind of a hashtag Haunt Street to everything on everything. I've thought about that. I've thought about changing it, kind of like what you've got going there as a Village Mire and doing something like that. But I haven't gotten there and naming my own like something on Haunt Street. I haven't done that yet. Like I said, we ended up with about this last year. I think we had about 2,000 trick-or-treaters. And so I'm kind of just...
Now, are you at the point where you're like, oh, okay, this is enough. This is plenty. I don't need more than this.
Yeah, everybody keeps... So I have a lady that does the news here, the local news, and she keeps begging me to come out and like broadcast in front of our house. And I'm like, that is just no bueno. If she comes out there and says, hey, come on and check it out, then I'm going to be...
It's a recipe for disaster. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah.
I know I've talked about this before when I've chatted with other haunters, but I absolutely don't want people to tell anybody else about this. Like, I don't want people promoting it on Facebook. I don't want people talking about it. I have too many people at my house right now, and it's causing major headaches. It's causing me now, so.
Totally. I have people all the time that hit us up and are like, I've had a couple pretty popular YouTube videos and different things like that. And so I know how to get out there socially. And I've had people come and ask me like, hey, can we help you with your Facebook page? And I'm kind of like, it's that way for a reason. I really don't want it any bigger on my Facebook page. So, yeah.
I was also thinking back several years when I was so excited that I broke like 250 people. I like 250 people as far as I could count, and maybe like just candy that I gave out. But there were other people who probably didn't take the candy, who weren't there for trick or treating. I actually had more fun back when I had a couple hundred people come to the house. There was an anticipation of waiting for them to finally get there and then jump out, or to hit the trigger to scare them with the air cannon or some other prop.
Right.
And so there was a gas. Now, because it's some points of the night, it's a conga line of people coming through. It's just like jumping out. It's just like jump, reset, jump. It's like, well, let's reset. Everything is you're just kind of bouncing in and bouncing it out. Next thing you know, the night's over, and I feel like everything just went by in a blur. Where when I had less people, the night seemed to take a lot longer. Because we're only talking about I only do it one night. It's, I mean, the yard haunts.
Me too.
The yard's out, but I'm only doing it one night. So I like to savor the night as much as I possibly can. Now it's too busy, so the whole thing is just a freaking blur. Like, okay, it's 5:30, it's getting dark. We start letting people in once it gets dark, and then the next 3 hours is a blur and it's over. It's like, damn. Yeah.
It's true, and it's all that work that you did all the way through September and October getting it set up. We try to get everything set up by October 1st because I figure if Christmas people can have it out by Thanksgiving, the day after Thanksgiving, I can have mine up, October 1st for the whole month.
Yeah.
And so you try to get it all up, and then all of a sudden, like, it's just over. Instantaneously, It's just over.
Well, the one thing I realized, I always had my lawn was complete shit. It had never been done. It was like 30, 40 years of neglect. I would just cut the grass or the weeds pretty much. It was just more weeds. I would just cut the weeds. And I didn't care about, putting out all the stuff because it would kill the weeds, but the weeds would go right back in, no problem. Like unlike grass where I had to get back out there and like put down some loam and seed and fertilizer and keep it watered, with crabgrass and whatnot. You don't have to do shit. It's just got to grow.
Right. Right.
So I just had my lawn done over. I had a landscaper do it because it had finally got to that point where I'm like, all right, I need to get it done this year. And I kept putting it off because of the haunt. Well, I had it done, and after putting stuff out, I'm like, it probably won't be too bad. It'll probably grow back pretty quickly. No, I had like big patches in my lawn,
Oh, I'm sure, like where you had that. I'm sure where you had that oil barrel tipped over. I'm sure all that grass under that oil barrel died.
Like the well that I built for last year, the well, big ass burn hole, and all the other shit, and the tombstones. I get like lines of dead grass. Like
I got rock, so I get away with it. I just got to shovel rock around a little bit, and then re-shovel it when I'm done.
Once it's officially fall, so September 21st. Once it officially turns fall, stuff can start going out. And I pretty much start putting stuff out over the week, and by the time October 1st hits, I usually have the entire things out. And,
October 1st is the new national deadline. I'm telling you, everybody, we need to make that law. You have to have your stuff up by October 1st. Everybody else gets it. We need to have it too.
Oh, we're coming to your house and kicking you in your pumpkins.
So, I get people all the time that are like, why do you have it up so early? I'm like, why do you put your Christmas stuff up so early? And they just look at me and they're like, touche. I'm like, all right, cool.
Like, what are you supposed to do? Put it up the day before? When I was a kid, when I first started doing this, I used to put everything went up the day of, so it was kind of like a surprise that I was doing it. Halloween day, I would start in the morning, I would take the whole day off, and I would just put out everything and set it all up. Now, it was total garbage anyway. The props were pretty hideous. I still have some pictures lingering around. I post them every once in a while for people to laugh at. But I would throw everything up, and then the next day it would be all gone, and that was it. It was like a kind of flash. It was there for Halloween day and then gone. Plus, I also didn't want kids in the neighborhood to break it and beat the shit out of it. I grew up in a little tough, kind of a tough neighborhood. But yeah, so I couldn't even imagine doing something like that now. That's insane.
Oh, yeah,
that's absolutely insane. Plus you have all this great stuff. Why would you only want to showcase it for just one night? You want to have it out there so people can enjoy it, and you can enjoy it for at least an entire month before then everything has to get packed up and put away for another 11 months.
Yeah, I remember when I was 15, that's kind of when I started, and I remember just setting it up the night before, and ours was just, it was kind of garbage. We had a coffin with a vampire in it, and we had a couple things, and the kids had to reach in the coffin. And I remember the first year that I did it was I had a patio furniture table, and I had mannequins stuffed with newspaper, sweatshirts stuffed with newspaper, type of thing, and sitting around with like fake heads on them, and I was one of the mannequins. And that's kind of how I caught the bug, because I would sit there with the candy bowl and reach out and grab one of the ladies, and this older lady was bringing her grandchild by. She lived down the street from me, and dressed as a giant red M&M, just giant red M&M, and she comes over to me, and she's trying to get her kid to grab the candy, and I'm not moving. She's like, nothing's gonna happen. Just get it. She reaches in, I grab her candy. She screams so loud She slaps me on the back of the head, back of the neck, whole 9 yards, walks away, comes back about 15 minutes later and dips down in my ear and just whispers to me, "You little shithead. You made me piss my pants. I had to go home and change my suit." And I was dying laughing, and that's when I caught the bug ever since then. Like that moment when I made her wet her big red M&M suit, I was like, I'm in. So, yeah, I get it. You couldn't set all that up today. You just couldn't do it. I have too much stuff.
You do. You have the smorgasbord of home haunt props, like all of the DIY home haunt standards. You have like the Grave Popper, you have the FCG, you have the Shiatsu massage to the zombie,
right?
Or the thing in the coffin. You had. I'm trying to think of some of the other staples that are in there.
Well, like 90% of it. So when I started at this house, we just bought this house, didn't really have a lot of money. So 90% of everything we have is stuff that was getting ready to get thrown into a landfill by our neighbors. And so I didn't spend any money at first, and I still haven't. I just got into pneumatics this last year. But yeah, I started with all the same basics that you start with, the grave poppers and the shiatsu one-arm grave grabbers and the singing pumpkins. And I had an old projection unit and put those up. And yeah, that's where I started from.
The pumpkins in Atmosphere Effects product, or is
no?
Who's
it was something else that I saw on somebody else's, and I can't remember the name of it. But I bought it through him through like Big Cartel or something like that, and he gave it to me. So every time I put that stupid thing up on YouTube, I always get hit with a copyright strike for the music on it. But it is what it is. I liked it better than the Atmosphere Effects.
Why? What's the music? What does it sing?
They do all the traditional songs. The main middle guy looks like Jack Skellington a little bit more, and so I just kind of like that one a little bit better.
Those are cool. Like I haven't done that only because I've just been hesitant to putting projectors outside. See, you
got weather. We don't have that.
And I wish I didn't have to worry about it, but shit, I've had a nor'easter hit. The day, or was it 2 days before Halloween one year? Destroyed my mausoleum, effed up a lot of my props. I ended up having like the worst Halloween because all I ended up doing is patching and trying to put everything back together again and set everything back up after the storm. Hey, we just got hit with a tornado here on Cape Cod.
I believe it. Last year
it's insane. I'm like, what? I was getting tornado warnings on my phone, and I was like that. I'm like, what?
That would kill me.
It can't be. What are you talking about?
Last year we had late monsoons last year, and everybody was like, no, it's killing all of our stuff. And to us in Arizona, that was like, we got rain and wind. What do we do with this stuff? We're not used to this.
It's funny because we all try to learn how to build stuff, and we all try to start off with a very low to no budget when we first start doing this stuff, and then as you get
depending upon who the bank holder is, if the bank holder lets us have money or not.
And then as the sickness metastasizes and continues to friggin' infest the rest of your body, mind, whatever, your soul, that's when you start justifying dropping X amount of money per year, and then that level will continue to grow.
Well, the hard part for me is the first year. It was probably 3 years ago now. One of my neighbors, somebody come by, and he was like, "Wow, this is really good." He told somebody else about it, and they came by, and then that's when I found out that Kyle, who from Midnight Studios, who you had on just recently, he lived down the street from me, so he came over. So I got to go over to his place, and then I got to see a whole nother level of like just artists and crafts and how he makes everything. I'm like, oh man, I got to step up my game now. It's a whole different ball game. And so then last year, after
you can't be competing with him though.
No, well, he doesn't. So he does like his stuff in his backyard. Like his backyard's sick. So he's got his entire backyard set up all year round for like his friends and his guests and everything.
Oh, really?
He's got like Haunted Mansion and Pirates of the Caribbean. And he's got the whole 9 yards back there. Oh, but he doesn't do a lot up front in the front area because he's doing it all year round. I mean, I don't blame the guy.
Yeah.
But I was able to help him out a little bit, and then I got a couple of his heads last year and I did that Planet Doom shaker one where the zombies come alive and they start shaking the cage, and I used his heads on there, and it just upped my game. It just totally upped the game from that. But yeah, it was nice to be able to finally switch over to pneumatics. And a lot of the stuff when you don't know how to do it, you get nervous about it. You get scared, like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think that's what's so great about having this AZ Haunters group is that you don't know what you're doing, but somebody in the group does. And you can always figure it out. And if you don't, they know somebody that does. Like last year I had, not last year, year before I was doing these Stranger Things. It was huge. It was coming out on Halloween, and everybody was pumped up about it. So I said, okay, I got to do the Stranger Things theme. And I had them come in. That was the first year they went in the garage and actually walked through the garage. And I actually had them come up, and they had trigger set off an Arduino to run the scene from when the mom's trying to talk to her son through the dimensions. And the lights start going, and it says, she's like, "What do I do? What do I do?" And Winona Ryder's screaming out, and then it says, "R-U-N, run." And as soon as it did that and the lights went off, I actually figured out how to have a Demogorgon press out of the wall, just like in the movie, and attack them and grab them. And they just freaked out and split out the side door. And it was awesome, but once again, it goes back to what you were saying. When you have so many people coming, that's a minute and a half that they have to sit there and watch that thing, which is amazing. But with 1,000 people, you have to time that so well. And the people in line are like, "Is it my turn yet? Is it my turn yet? Is it my turn yet?" So I just kind of like, yeah, we can't have anything where they're standing and waiting. They have to just keep moving. Otherwise, it's too much.
Get them in, get them out. Even last year, I thought I was going to be able to move people through a lot quicker, and I kept just trying to hold them back just a little so that the effect, that they wouldn't, that the props had a chance to like reset, or the people had a chance to reset and get a good scare each time through. And, once again, sometimes it's not possible because people are then piled up, and then the neighbor's getting pissed off that all these people are piling into his lawn and whatnot.
That's what I had. Mine went across the cul-de-sac, and I thought, oh, well, they're people to be cool. They'll figure it out. It's not their neighborhood. Let's be cool. And they literally, with my neighbors in their yard, they went up the yard and through his grass and over. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me, people? You couldn't have just followed the sidewalk? I mean, the city put it there. You could have followed it. It's not that hard. So, yeah, I got to work on stanchions or something this year.
Yeah, definitely need to have, like, crowd control, or my next-door neighbor's going to end up losing it. And I'm going to try to accommodate him to keep the water still. I don't expect to be around here for more than maybe another... 3 to 5 years is max. I'm already looking for other places to move to. So
gotta get a bigger yard.
Find a place where there's already a couple of maniacs who are into it. Now, you actually have a couple of great neighbors who seem to be, they join in on the fun, right?
Oh, man. Yeah, all of our neighbors are into it. I've only got one grouchy neighbor. I kind of talk about him a little bit. And he's actually gotten around to it. And he's gotten cool. We've shaken hands on stuff. And he's actually cool about stuff now. But he ended up as actually one of our props. I have one of the breathing graves, and it's one of those guys that just won't go away, and you're like, all right, cool. So he's now in my breathing grave, and he has, and I changed it. I have a TV that's behind my breathing grave that has a skeleton that kind of pops up and says, "Get off my lawn! Shut up out there! You're making too much noise." And that's totally him. That's just him. He would come out at like 7 o'clock at night and be like, "Can you turn it down?" And I'm like, "It's 7, bro. Yeah. Like, we're not doing anything. There's not even noise on." Like, now, now that I have every prop has its own sound, there's like no way to turn it down. Like, I set it all perfect. It's like a symphony out there. And he's like, "Can you turn it down?" I'm like, "Yeah, no." And if you turn one down, there's 15, 20 other ones blasting it out. I'm fine. Because he'll come over and touch your stuff, and he'll try and figure out how to turn it down and stuff. So,
well, I had a cop show up like about 8:15. The town noise ordinance says 10 o'clock. Can't be any noise past 10 o'clock. So the cop came up to me and asked me if I could. He's like, "Hey, could you wrap it up?" And I'm like, "It's Halloween, man. It's I said I'm not trying to be a wise ass, but isn't the town ordinance 10 o'clock? Am I within my legal rights to be doing what I'm doing?" And he's like, "Just try to wrap it up, And I'm like, "All right, look," I said, most trick-or-treaters are pretty much have already come. We've only got a few more people left. I'll wrap it up in a half hour.
Oh, you got called on is what you got.
Yeah. So, they got my neighbor who used to be cool with me right across the street. Not my other neighbor that everybody knows from Bob. Right. Not Bob, this other guy. Which I thought was cool. Now I just don't even say anything to him. Right. I don't give a shit. Like I will wave to him occasionally if we do kind of catch eyes, but I just ignore him. I'm not even sure what I'm doing this year. I'm definitely, doing the yard as I always do it. I don't know if I'm doing a walkthrough if I don't get in a couple of more helpers. I lost a few people last year, and I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just going to set up a display. Maybe I'll continue to do. I'll set up a couple of the big props up front so we can do like selfies. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Like people can come in, do selfies, give out candy. I can still fire off the air cannon and a couple other props. So
there you go.
We could still get a couple of little startles here and there. I can still grab a couple of scares, but it ain't going to be a walkthrough. You've been doing a walkthrough now, right?
Yeah, well, so ours is great because we call it Haunt Street, and we ended up with it's now 4 cul-de-sacs that get blocked off on Halloween night. So then I started the walkthrough, not last year, the year before, with the Stranger Things theme, and then last year I did it again. So this will be the third year I've actually done a walkthrough, and it's going to get a little bit bigger this year. And I kind of start on the side of my house, and I've done in the past where I did one was called a Field of Fear, and I just hung corn and kind of did the Children of the Corn thing, which was really cool until you realize that there was actually bugs in it, and you're like, what's biting? Ow, what's biting me? It's like, and you got worms like crawling on you, biting you, and you're like, oh, cool, not doing that one again. But yeah, so then we're going to do a new one this year, and I'm just going to expand it, and I'm going to kind of maybe even go a second level outside, go up a second level, and then go into the house, and we're going to kind of add in one area kind of an escape room type thing, and they're going to have to actually go through a refrigerator that I have, an old 50s refrigerator, and then once they get into that, they'll go to the next level and kind of enter into like a quasi-morgue area type thing. And so then they'll end up coming outside the garage and then come out. What I've always had problems is when they come out the side of the garage and they come down, everybody can see the last jump scare, and when somebody hops out at them, and it kind of ruins it because everybody piles up at the end waiting for it to watch it. And so by halfway through the night, nobody's scared anymore because they've all seen it like a million times. So this year I'm actually building a barn, like an old abandoned barn facade, and they're going to come just screaming out of the barn is what they're going to do, and you're not even going to know. So everybody can pile up, and they're going to be like, this year they're going to be like, crap, I can't even see what's happening on the other side. No, you can't. Go away. So, yeah, it's going to be kind of our twist this year. I know you're saying you don't know what you're going to do, but our twist this year, we're going to go to Mr. Myrtle's Acres. And if you remember, Mr. Myrtle was the crazy old kook in The Sandlot that all the kids thought he was mentally deranged.
And it turns out it was a blind Darth Vader.
Right, exactly. Yep. So we're gonna take it and kind of do since he owned a junkyard, we're gonna kind of do a junkyard up front, and then you're gonna come around to Mr. Myrtle's house. You're gonna actually have to go into his kitchen, and then once you go into his kitchen and you get into his go through the refrigerator. Once you get into that area, then that's kind of where the demented part of like what would it be like to be in Mr. Myrtle's house. And so, that's kind of where we're going to go with it. So we'll see how it goes, and hopefully scare the crap out of some kids.
So how many different rooms would there be in your maze?
I just keep moving because I did a room last year right smack dab in the middle, and my daughter laid in bed, and we had, I don't know if you've seen it on the video, like I said, anywhere you hashtag Haunt Street, you go on YouTube, you can find the video. My daughter was in the middle in a little kid bed, and you had to go into, my son had this idea of having a reoccurring dream, and so you would go into the closet, and if you went one way, you would end up at the beginning again and have to go through the whole thing again, and you would scare people coming out the wrong way. So they were scaring each other. If you went the other way, you could actually go through the haunt. Well, I thought that was really cool. My son thought it was cool. People thought it was cool. But the thing that scared everybody else was my daughter, who wasn't even in costume, just sitting up out of bed, telling them go into the closet. She would just wake up and go into the closet. And they would absolutely freak out. And I was like, okay, cool. And then but the problem was they would pile up in that room and they wouldn't go any further because they saw this little girl in a bed. And I'm like, why is that so scary? But you guys think it's scary? It's scary. So I'm going to not probably do any rooms or any kind of choke points. I'm going to try and eliminate all of those this year and just kind of keep it moving.
Kind of like just hallways kind of a thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, just kind of hallways. My son wants to do a couple spots where we're trying to figure it out to where we can, when they walk through, it actuates some sort of magnet that opens and closes certain doors so they could actually kind of get lost and reoccur again inside the thing. And if they only go the right way, it only unlocks the right one. But I don't know how to pull that off. I'm like, oh man, the brain of a 10-year-old, but I can't figure it out yet. So we'll go from there.
Post it somewhere online. Somebody will probably solve the problem for you.
Right?
Know?
Exactly.
Now you were talking about your haunt group there in Arizona. How many members do you have roughly?
Oh man, I think that there is currently on there about I want to say 3,000, but I'm not sure
Whoa.
if that's the actual number. I think that's statewide, and so I'm not quite sure on that. I know it's less on the actual azhaunters.com page, but I don't know what on their Facebook page. It could be even more.
Well, when people get together, I mean, are they pretty active as far as like making takes and get together type things to build?
So yeah, so the make and takes have been pretty good. We just did a laser cutter tombstone one that we just did, and we had everybody kind of come down and see the tombstones and laser cut some of their own personal tombstones and stuff like that. And then they did a hydro dipping class. And there was about 40 in there that showed up. They've done one in the past. The biggest one was a creepy baby doll thing. I think they had close to 60 show up for that. Yeah, so on the Facebook page has 3.5 thousand people on it. But I'm not sure that that's out of how many people actually show up.
Because that sounds like a ridiculous haunters per volume or haunters per square foot,
right,
or whatever. That is pretty huge. Yeah.
Well, we're getting ready to do I know that they're putting together a haunted swap meet this year, and they've actually rented out some space in I think what it's called Metro Center Mall out here. And so they're going to do an indoor swap meet of all these artisans that can come and sell their Halloween themed products. And I think that started out as just like as a one year they had a little yard sale type thing, garage sale. And I think it just got so big that they started, hey, let's actually do a yard haunt. So they've got a pretty good amount of people actually involved with it.
That's pretty sizable. To have 60 people show up for a make and take, that's pretty big, man. That
was huge. That was actually huge. And we did an Arduino make and take, and I was surprised they still had even 20, 25 people show up to that, I think. And I was actually surprised in that one too. So, yeah.
That's not as sexy of a make and take,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, because you really have to sit down and then learn how to plug this thing in and how it works and whatever.
Right.
However, once again, I've never learned the Arduino. I have a couple of, I have like an Arduino Nano with OctoShield.
Yeah.
On there, and those are great little controllers. They actually do quite a bit. I still prefer more of the key bangers myself. I'm just lazy.
Yeah,
there's certain things they don't do. But
this will be the first year I'm gonna use the Octabanger on an Arduino, and I'm gonna try and plug it into the pneumatics. I don't have a clue what I'm doing, but there's like 3 or 4 guys that know what they're doing, and I'm hoping I can just learn from them. And if not, who knows? Who knows what I end up with?
Pneumatics isn't that daunting, you know. The controller is probably more complicated than anything else. It's really not that confusing. It's pretty easy to learn, and once you do one, you get the concept of it. You never need to ask anybody again. You just figure out any adjustments or things that you're trying to do.
Right.
I don't make a lot of my mechanisms. I've typically bought them, so I guarantee that they're not going to kill anybody, you know.
Right.
But there's certain things I've made, things that wouldn't come anywhere close to a person. And I finally did the groundbreaker coffin last year, which
Yeah.
I've been putting off forever. And I had a torso of this little skeleton. I hooked it up to this old mechanism, and I just made from some of that aluminum stock that has the holes in them, and you just bend them and bolt them, cut them. And I just made like a little mechanism with a small cylinder. I don't even know. I think the stroke is probably only like 3 or 4 inches. And I hooked it up to a linear actuator, and he just kind of leans out of the coffin a little bit and leans back in. It's all he does, but I have it set up on one of those little Pico 1 controllers that work amazing with linear actuators. And if you haven't ever screwed around with the linear actuator, I highly recommend it, because the great thing about them, like, they're not good for jump scares, but they're great for little like animatronic, like just things moving in the graveyard, you know, coffin lids going up and down. They're fairly quiet. But and like I say, you can get them in all different strokes like you can on any other pneumatic cylinder. But yeah, you could just hook them up, and if with the Pico 1, you can dial it in nice and slow, so to get that really subtle lift
creepy.
of the They just kind of peek out up like behind a tombstone, come back down. They're great, and because you don't have to hook them up to air. And so they're self-sufficient. They're plug and play, basically, you know. And they're very easy to use.
Love it.
I just started incorporating them into my maybe 2 years ago, and I absolutely love them, because I don't want to have pneumatics and stuff hooked out all October. I only throw the pneumatics out like the day before Halloween.
Right.
And so the actuators can just run like my guy that peeks his head, the little swamp creature kind of thing that peeks his head out of the well and so he just kind of peeks out of the well and dips back down again.
Right.
The linear actuator is perfect for that. It's like,
exactly.
So it works great, because I got a couple of animated props out there now that I didn't have a year or two before, just because I just decided to start working in some of the actuators. And like I got like a little worm that kind of slowly sticks its head out of a hole and comes back into the hole.
I saw that one.
It's a great. It's a simple little effect, and it's one of those things where, you know, you'd be looking in the yard and you wouldn't even notice it at first, and then it would catch your eye, and then you kind of startle you a little bit because you didn't realize it was moving.
Yep. Yeah, and I when I first started, I only had a few little things here or there that would move just a little bit. I was kind of like yours, just real creepy. And then my neighbors were like, man, you got to have something out here that just scares the bejesus out of people. And that's why I did that one with the zombies last year. And that was like by far the most favorite. We have kids, they come down every night. I have one kid around the neighborhood. They come down twice a day. And every time he comes down, he has to bring his little fake gun, and he shoots the zombies every time they drive by. Yeah, pretty funny.
It's the you have that little zombie containment area, right?
Yeah,
and they shake the fence. They do, yeah. Zombies. Yeah, that's a great effect, because I also saw that from
Planet Doom.
Planet Doom. It's originally a Poison Props, or
I would assume so. Yeah, Planet.
I don't know if they originated, but the first time I had ever seen it was Transworld, and it was Poison Props who made it. And then I saw Planet Doom.
He helped me put it together from Planet Doom.
Yeah,
he told me how to. I just hooked him up. I just hit him up online, and he told me how to do it, and it turned out awesome.
Yeah, it's
turned out awesome.
It's such a simple effect, and it's so great. You know, because all it is one cylinder, right?
Yeah, it's one cylinder that it's 4 inches, and it just pushes an aluminum fence in and out, and that's it. And then all the actual zombies are just on marionettes, and they're just connected to the fence, and so they just move back and forth, and it ends up making it look like they're the ones that are shaking the fence, when in reality you just got that piston moving in 4 inches.
Now their feet are mounted to the ground, are they?
No, they're just freestanding in a pair of shoes, and you use those I forgot what they're calling, those PVC prop mounts. You know what I'm talking about, the circle ones?
Yeah.
And you just put those in the back of in some shoes, and they just sit there the whole time. They don't even move. And so the only thing that's really mounted anywhere is the bottom of the fence, and you just mount that. I mounted mine to because I was going to be up on a hill and some rocks, so I mounted mine to some boards that I knew I could like really stake it down into the ground so it wouldn't fall anywhere. And then I buried that all underneath everything, and so then it just rolled back and forth, and it was nice and free and moving.
Yeah. Now, what do you use for a controller?
That one comes with the Peekaboo. I've got a Peekaboo controller on that. I got everything off that one from Fright Props. I went on on his site. He has a whole video on it, and I asked him what to get, and he lists out all the stuff, and so I just went and bought what he told me to get.
So the audio is hooked up to it as well. So you've got the zombie effect of them like groaning or doing.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, because it does the dual. On that one, you can do the dual sounds. So you run one as a precursor, kind of like they're just kind of like out there. I got the sound that they're like out there hunting, and they're just kind of gurgling and doing all that. And then I tell the kids, don't wake up the zombies. Make sure you don't wake them up, and because you can hear them, right? They're like, they're just kind of gurgling and stuff. And then all of a sudden, when they wake up, they just start growling and screaming and just going at it.
And that's when the fence starts shaking.
Yeah, and then the fence starts going crazy, and then that goes back to them just gurgling and just going back. But yeah, I tell them all the time, I'm like, don't wake them up, don't wake them up. They see you, they're gonna get crazy. And then the kids get a little bit closer, and I'm like, don't wake them up. And I'm like, as soon as they see you, they're gonna come alive. And then all of a sudden they do it and they scream and they take off.
Wait a minute, is it on a timer or is this some kind of a
It's on a motion sensor. I got it on a motion sensor. So
okay.
Yeah, it just runs on a motion sensor, and then I just have all the pump and everything in the backyard hooked up by my back, so I don't have to hear it filling up or anything like that. So I got that chained to a big thing. So anybody tried to jump my yard and take my thing, they'd have to cut the bolts off to take it.
It really doesn't take too much to put that whole thing together. How long did that project take?
Oh, I think that was only because I didn't know what I was doing, had no clue what I was doing. I think it was a 2-day build all together. But like I ended up corpsing out. I ended up doing all the clothing. I was watching some of these guys getting these horse files and doing all their clothing, and I'm like looking at it going, man, this is really taking a long time. And I'm all about like saving time. I'm just kind of lazy that way. I like to get it done, but I just don't want to spend hours and hours and hours on it. And so, I would corpse the clothing, and I went over to Home Depot and found out they have a rasp bit to just throw in your drill. So I'm sitting there with a drill, knocking out clothing in like 5 minutes and spray painting it and getting it all done and throwing some grape foam on there and painting it and getting it all look all nasty and making some PVC bodies and throwing some chicken wire chests in there. And I think it literally took me 2 days because I just didn't know what I was doing on the whole thing. But once I had it going, it's an easy build.
You hit it with a little brown spray paint, a little, you give it little spurts of black and little spurts of brown, and it makes it look dirty. And, you can pretty much bang it out pretty freaking quick.
Yeah, the thing that we're doing this year is we're going to take some out to the desert, and we're going to shoot them with the 12 gauge. And then this next year, we're just going to leave them outside all summer and all year and just let them just rot.
Oh, yeah.
Then use them next year.
The sun will beat them, bleach them out.
Oh, totally. It'll be awesome. Do you get that too when you go to Home Depot, though? Or one of those box stores, you end up showing up and you're like, hey, I need this. And they're like, well, what's it for? And then you're like, well, here, let me tell you. And they're like, oh, I have no idea how to do that.
You know what? I don't ever talk about it with people because they always give you that you have a dick hanging off your forehead look in their eye. Like they're looking at you going, what is wrong? I don't know. Are you okay? It's July. So why are we talking about Halloween right now?
I went today. I was working on some sprinkler equipment, and I went in today to get a sprinkler piece, and the lady at the front, she goes, so are you starting to build yet? And I was like, actually, I just came in and bought a case of pool noodles like last week and got them and then they take care of me and they hook me up with prices and stuff if it's something they need to get rid of or whatever. But yeah, my guys are like already like they see me, and my wife doesn't even like going with me because they all just like, hey, how you doing? Hey, Chad, hey, how you doing? I'm like, you can tell I've been here too long over the last 12 years.
They already know you're that guy.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
I have back in an old segment of Hotcast, one of the original, probably season 1. I did this top 10, and one of the top 10 reasons that you know you're a certifiable home haunter was you make more trips to Home Depot than you do to the supermarket.
Totally.
Yet you haven't made a repair on your home in over 10 years.
So true. So true. Yeah, it's amazing how many times you end up going there and looking things over, and and then you're there and you're watching videos. I can't tell you how many times I've grabbed a bucket and just flipped it over and sat down by their front door because for some reason in the building I can't get enough signal, so I go and grab it and sit by the door. And they just start laughing. They're like, "You looking at videos again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got to see exactly what parts I got to buy." And they're like, "Oh my gosh." It just cracks me up.
I didn't think I was going to do much last year, and I got into a flurry of projects, and I built a ton of shit last year, or like rebuilt stuff and changed things up. And then this year, I have no motivation to get started. I know I eventually will.
Get there, man.
Once we get into August always does it for me. Every time I hit August. But usually I start building in July, and depending on the project. Sometimes I do it in the middle of the winter. It all depends. But yeah, I just haven't hit that the bug hasn't got me to start to build yet. But I also haven't come up with across any real good ideas. I don't know what to and I want to build something. If I do something, I want to build it. I don't want to buy like a prop from somebody. I'd rather just try to build something, and I've had a few projects in the back burner. I'm watching, actually, Bob Cole is starting the Roach project. Me and him have talked about these roaches for the last... I've had a roach in my mind because I thought it would just be perfect for my yard, you know?
Totally. That would work well in there.
Now they have Unit 70.
You got that Antis there too, right?
Oh, yeah. The Unit 70, though, sells them, and they're ridiculously expensive, right? And I'm like, plus, it's not really the look I'm looking for. They have one. Oh, my God. Have you ever seen the, I think it's Unit 70 has this 12-foot roach, and it is badass. But it's like $2,000, you know, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I'm
you gotta
like,
shell out cash for that.
you know, I don't know. I can't justify dropping that. Not when I have kids in college, for sure.
Right. Right.
But I've tried to wrap my head around how to build it, and then Bob was talking about it when I did an interview with him, and I guess I just saw on Facebook that he started to put some foam together, and he's going to start trying to carve out and do it. So I'm going to watch his progress and see how he does his, and see if it's worth diving in on that project. That might be a little too ambitious right now for me for this year, because that's a really complicated project.
I think I took on one that is going to be a little more than I anticipated too. Is I did that. I'm doing that pool noodle vine arch. And I'm trying to figure that one out, where you just take all the pool noodles and you corpse them, and you have this really cool looking arch and effect. And I was doing it his way, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is going to take me forever. And he said he had like 50 hours into it. And I get into it, and I start losing interest when I get that far into it. So
the pool noodles look like vines?
Yeah. Just look up vine arch. It turns out awesome looking, and it's really cool looking. But I've not always needed a good entryway. I don't have a real good entry. And then the other one that I'm going to try and do this year is I found online one of those Uncle Creepy masks. For like $5, somebody had it, and they hacked it all up and put all kinds of weird hair on it and made it look all funky. But hey, I'll take a $60 mask for $5. And so I've just kind of been rehabbing that thing, and I got to put some new eyes in it. But I'm gonna do the grave digger, where he's, instead of the shovel kind of moving back and forth, he's actually looks like he's digging dirt. And then I'm gonna do a new scene where I've got him digging dirt, and I've got an old man looking back and forth, kind of like, hey, on lookout. And then I'm going to do the kicking legs in a hole and kind of do the whole Monty Python. I'm not dead yet. I'm not dead. Get me out of here. I'm not dead yet. And then I'm going to have the one guy telling him, shut up, just shut up. So, yeah, I got those 3 props I got to build just to make one scene. And then I've got that arch, so who knows? And then I've got my whole. Yeah, I got so much to do this year. I don't know if I'm gonna get it all done.
I mean,
we got Saturday. we got Saturday next year. I'm trying to get ready for Saturday next year.
Oh, yeah.
Is what I'm really doing.
You're not new to this. I mean, you were doing something prior to moving into the neighborhood 5 years.
Right.
What were you
Right.
doing? What were you doing prior to that? Were you just doing little decorations for the house, or?
Well, yeah, like we did one cool one. Like this road, the neighborhood we lived in would block off the street, so the street was pretty much open to do whatever I wanted. So I would take the 10 by 10 pop up tents, and as people walked down the street, it was like you either have to walk through it or you can't get to the next people's house to go trick or treating. I kind of did that kind of thing. Which was cool, and then I had an old ambulance, and so I would open up the back of the door, and you'd turn a corner, and there'd be the ambulance would be lighting up the neighborhood, but then the back of the ambulance was ambulance. Man, did I just say that? Ambulance was somebody. We would have it was all dark, but I would have somebody shoot out of the ambulance at them and do a big jump scare. So I would do that kind of stuff, and then we had a neighbor that was an air conditioning tech, and he had one of these pneumatic pumps that you could put your AC unit on from the ground and hit the pneumatics, and it would push the AC unit probably 25, 30 feet up in the air to get it up to a roof, Well, we took it and we just basically made it into a person. And so it would sit at the end of our driveway, and then he would sit up there. The guy who owned it would just sit up there with his little switch, and people would be looking at it and wanting to take pictures with it. And as soon as they go to take a picture with it, he would just start growing it. And we had this big 30-foot skirt on it, and it would just grow all the way up. And people were like, "Oh, get out of here!" They'd freak out because they're trying to take a picture with it.
Oh, that's a cool effect.
Yeah. Yeah, it just started growing really tall. It just went from 6 feet tall to 30 feet tall in
Yeah, so you basically just had a ton of fabric, and it was all bunched up down the bottom, and it just, as it grew, the fabric just stretched out, and it just, That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and it was just an ugly mask and some hands and just a hooded type creature, whatever. And I think that mask is still around. I mean, it's latex, so it's probably the sun has just beat it to death, but I think he's still around somewhere.
Cool. So, what else have you guys got? You've got anything coming up with the AZ Haunters?
I think the next big thing is that they're just doing is the swap meet, and so I think we're doing the swap meet, getting that knocked out. Doing a few make and takes each month. We have a make and take, so I think that's pretty much about it right now.
So does Transu go to a lot of these things?
I'm not even sure. I started going. We used to do them on Sundays. Mm-hmm. And so now we're doing them on Saturdays. So I'm now just starting to meet a lot of the people, because when they were on Sundays, I was too busy, just like you. You got a job, you got things you got to do. And I just couldn't make it. And now they've moved them to Saturdays, and I've just now started kind of getting into things and getting to know everybody. So, have you ever met Morbid Mariah? She's down in Tucson. I have not met her.
No, wait a minute.
They're trying to figure it out, because AZ Haunters right now is a statewide thing, but really we almost need 3 different ones. We need like a Tucson chapter and like an East Valley chapter and a West Valley chapter, because they're just, when we do our stuff out here, we're out on the east side, and we got all these west side people driving like an hour to get to us just to come to our stuff. So I don't know how they're gonna work that out if it keeps growing. Wait a minute. So where are you located exactly? So I'm in Mesa. Oh, okay. I'm up in Mesa. So I'm about an hour hour and a half maybe away from Morbid Mariah. And then a lot of these other guys in the group, we have one guy that drives 45 minutes to an hour just to come, and he leads a lot of the stuff. So yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. So I just actually spotted that, because I'm actually headed out to Arizona in November. Yeah, come say hi. I'm up there for the week. I'm going to I'm flying into Vegas. I'm renting a bike, and I'm going to travel. I'm going to ride to the canyon. I have never seen anything out there. So I'm going to do the canyon. I'm going to do Sedona. I'm going to do Monument Valley, Four Corners. Nice. I'm going to be bopping around more the northern part of the state. Yeah, so you're right down by Phoenix, right? Mesa's right outside we're right. Phoenix? Yeah, we're just to the east side of Phoenix. Yeah, but yeah, you should come out. And when did you say that was going to be? August? November? No, it's going to be. November. Did I say August?
Oh,
No, I think you said November. I'm looking at something, so I think I saw August.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm going to be out there November 11th. I think it's November 10th or 11th. I fly into Vegas. And then, then I'm just going to be cruising for the week, just bopping around, having fun, checking things out. You know,
nice.
Just more of a sightseeing kind of thing. And I figured if I was out there, I may try to connect to a few people, maybe some of the listeners and whatever, you know. So
come on out. Yeah, I know there's a lot of listeners in the group, and you know that's how I found out about what you got going. So I know we'll be doing something. We should be even doing a make and take during that time. But you'll have like what my friend had when he came out here. He was just surprised that you could fit like 4 Massachusetts in one Arizona. Everything just gets bigger out here.
It's a lot of open. I was out there. I went to. I did go to Scottsdale back in 2000. What was it? 2001 or 2002?
Oh wow! Yeah, everything's changed out here.
I was only there for a weekend. It was Christmas. My ex's parents lived out there. She wasn't my ex at that point.
Right.
Therefore, I went out there for Christmas. And, it was like, whatever. It was like 70 degrees Christmas Day. We're out at the driving range, you know.
You're the crazy guy swimming, and the rest of us are looking at you going, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah, exactly. 70 swimming weather, man. Are you kidding me?
We're all dressed up in like big old parkas and stuff, and you're like in your flip flops. You're like, come on, man, let's go. Give me a Corona. We're good to go.
You got your red long johns on with the flap of the ass.
Totally. It's 70. Come on.
Damn, it's cold. Woo! All right, brother. So let's see let me see if I have any other additional questions for you. Just one other quick question. You had a couple of cool things in the walkthrough. You had some effects. There was one that I think, what is it? The Atmosphere Effects picture frame. What is that just a monitor that you're using for that? Is that how?
It's honestly just a TV. All I did was do a TV and I had just a picture frame that I picked up at Goodwill, and just kind of cut it to match the size of the picture frame or to the TV. And then I just hooked up one of those Sprite players on there. And so that's how I ran that whole system. And then the Sprite player actually, which is really funny because the Sprite player, I just reused parts from the Stranger Things. I used the motion sensor from the Stranger Things thing the year before and used that to set that off. So when they walked by, it caught them and it set it off. Because that player plays in 2 modes. You have 2 videos playing on that as well. And they're awesome. Those guys are so cool. You can call them up and they help you run right through everything. But you have to have the clip playing in the beginning for a certain amount of time. And so I didn't know, and it wouldn't go, and it wouldn't go, and it wouldn't go. And I finally got that thing to go with them on the phone, and we finally got it working. But it's just awesome. Yeah, it was a great one.
Oh, I get it. So you have to have like so many seconds of the initial shot of the
it's
woman
just on a loop.
Of the woman like all prim and proper and in her Sunday best, and then
like 10 seconds or 19 seconds or something like that.
Okay, and then
you have that, and that's just playing on a loop until somebody trips the motion sensor, and once somebody trips the motion sensor, it automatically switches over to the other video of her screaming.
Yeah.
So you got to kind of take the Atmosphere Effects videos and kind of edit them. Like I use iMovie, and I just cut them in iMovie and then just reloaded them back onto just a little thumb drive and just threw them into the player, and the player automatically starts reading them.
So you just export them like as an MP4 or something, and that's it.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that one was actually way easier. That one was a hard one because I had to buy the Sprite player, and I'm so cheap that when I bought that, I was like, "Oh man!"
I haven't looked into that. How much is the Sprite player roughly?
They're nothing like some of the things that you got, but it's like $90 or something like that. But when you're used to buying $25 DVD players. You're like, oh man, I got to actually step up here. What's up?
Other question is, you also have this ghost illusion where it's you can see like the ghost flying. It's in your trees, and you can see the house behind it. And
Right.
so it's just like transparent. This ghostly illusion. Is that a projector from the front or the?
So
from
that's
the
a
back?
projector from the back. So what we use is that veil mesh. It's called Thule, Thule, I think is how you spell it.
Yeah.
And I just go to Walmart and I pick it up, and I get new stuff every year because the sun just rots it out and it just turns to dust the next year. But yeah, you just get Thule. I think Atmosphere Effects actually will, like, they have a screen that you can put up, but I wanted something you couldn't really see in the trees at all. And so I have it set up over my bushes, and then I use a bunch of my neighbors. I don't know, they have these really creepy branches in their trees when their trees die off. So I got some of his branches. I just kind of put it up all over, and I have all these, and then I run that right between all of that. And yeah, it's just a great hologram. It just looks like a hologram right there. And then I run the sound out, and I have a speaker that kind of sits in the bushes. And once again, that's a separate thing from itself. I use a soundboard, and I kind of run things through soundboard so that, my neighbor can't ever just come turn things off. So I just run that, and they love it. The neighbors, that was probably one of the creepiest ones that everybody loved. I have a, when I thought you were first asking about my other ghosts, we actually did the Axeworthy ghost. But I go from my house to my neighbor's house, across to the other neighbor's house, back over to my house in like a 400-foot stretch. So I thought you were asking about that one.
Yeah, no, I've actually never attempted the Axeworthy ghost.
Don't. Don't. Unless you absolutely hate your life, don't.
But I do hate my life, so.
Yeah, it's probably the one that, like, every year I've just wanted to shoot myself with that one. Last year, finally we got it dialed in, and it was beautiful. But I cannot tell you how many times I've gone up and down on top of rooftops from neighbors' houses, and they're in there listening. They're in there like eating dinner, or they're in there watching TV, and all they can hear on their roof is bam, 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 bam from somebody walking around up on the roof at like 9 o'clock at night trying to put the stupid Axeworthy back up. So yeah. But I think I got it dialed in now, so hopefully we shouldn't have that issue this year, but knock on wood.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I just had a couple of things I just spotted out of your video, and I had a couple of questions. By the way, who makes the effect for the that ghostly illusion? Who puts that DVD out?
That's Atmosphere Effects.
Oh,
that's their other one too. And then I used another one inside the haunt this year because I told you I did the one from Stranger Things where somebody actually came out of the wall. I did another one where they had a specter coming out of the wall this year, and so that one tripped everybody out because the year before they were expecting somebody to come out. They were expecting somebody to come out of the wall. So this year when they were looking at it, they're like, is it real or is it not real? I don't know what's going on this year, So yeah.
Well, how many do you have actors, and how many people help you out?
So see, that's the thing is, like, I've always just expected nobody to help me out. And I got to figure out a way to do it to where I can kind of run through and scare everybody like a million times by the time they get done. Well, then I've started getting a buddy of mine, Brian, my good old bearded redneck friend that can make anything out of anything. He started coming over. Now he's my guy inside. A lot of times he'll use the chainsaw or he'll go after him. And as the chainsaw kind of gets overdone, but we do it in the beginning instead of chasing them out at the very end. We do it right in the beginning when they're not expecting it. And he does a lot of stuff. Now his son has turned 15, so his son's been coming over kind of out of that trick-or-treating mode. His son comes over. We had a new kid that I'm friends with his mom and dad, and so this kid was kind of sitting around, didn't want to do anything. He came over last year. Now the bugs bit him. So we got 3 or 4 plus my 2 kids, and then the cost on Halloween candy keeps going down every year because they get so scared they won't grab any of the candy. So I kind of like that.
That is typically the case in my haunt, except for last year. For some reason, last year we went through all the candy at like an hour and a half into Halloween. I was like, "What do you mean we're all out?" I had 300 plus bags of stuff in there, plus a couple of backup baggies. And I told you to just give either one or two pieces that were like the fun size, but the BJ size baggies. I go, just give a one. When we run out of these little gifty, treat bags, I go, just give them either one or two, depending on how we're doing. And next thing you know, the girl comes up. She's like, we're out. I'm like, well, what do you mean we're out? It's like we just started.
Right.
She's like, I know. And I'm like, really? I completely just had no concept of how many people were coming through. It was insane. Anyway.
Yeah, I give away less candy every year, but I gain more babies every year. And I don't understand that one. Every time I scare somebody, they throw their stroller with a baby in it at me. And I'm like, really? And then they take off running, and I'm standing there holding a baby with like spooky, scary masks. And the baby's just looking up at me like, what in the... And you can just see that look like, I'm about to start screaming in 2 seconds. So I hand him over to my wife, and then my wife has him. And yeah, it's just crazy. But like every year that seems to happen more and more, where somebody throws a baby in a stroller at me.
What the hell is going on with people?
I don't know. They're just like, I'm out of here. Take my kid. I'm out. And I'm like, I already have 3. I don't need any more. Please come back and get your kids.
You do understand this is all make believe. This is all just like pretend.
None of this is real. And the funny thing is we don't do any blood, guts, or gore. So when they startle like that, it cracks me up because I'm like, we're not on the haunted house level. Like, I'm PG-13 and you're dying here. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
So your homework is you have to figure out a haunt name now. That's what you have to do.
Okay.
And update us with that when you have that done. And you're going to do the Vine thing this year, right? You're going to work on the Vine Arch thing?
Yeah, I'm about a third of the way through that one already. I got to knock that one out.
And you got a couple other goodies coming. So, so you're gonna have a lot of variety in there this year. It looks good, man. It's a lot of fun. It's funny, that because I've lived in the Northeast my entire life. When I think of Halloween, I think of there's got to be a certain crisp air. It's got to be cool, like 50 degrees. It's got to smell the dried leaves. I got to feel Halloween.
Out here.
And I was like, yeah, it's just a different concept when you're in places like Southern California or Arizona. But yet you guys have a thriving community of haunters. Obviously, the people are, the kids are into it. You got plenty of trick-or-treaters out there, right? So Halloween is very vibrant in Arizona.
It is, and it is hard. You can watch some of the videos that I've done in the past where I'm setting stuff up and it's 95, 100 degrees outside, and you're just like, and it's all humidity because we're still at the end of monsoon season or whatever. It's just that part is awful, absolutely awful. But I wouldn't give it up for anything when you got this many kids you're building that old 1980s neighborhood mentality of Halloween, and you're hoping to spread it. You're hoping to spread the disease to the next generation. So when I'm all old and decrepit and I become part of somebody's haunt as an old decrepit person in the corner,
and you will live on.
Right. And so hopefully, somebody will catch the bug and they'll make their mom and dad let them use their house, and then they'll start doing it as well. So we'll see.
And they'll piss off their neighbor, and
right. Love it.
And the saga continues.
Right.
Goes over and over.
Exactly. and I hope it keeps going, because I feel like for a while there we were kind of losing it. Like it was just kind of going away, and now I'm like, oh man, people are so into it now. It's awesome.
Hey, dude, I'm doing my part. I
love it. I love it. Keep it up, brother. Keep it up.
All right, brother. Chad.
Have a good one. Thank you for letting me come on and having me on. This has been awesome. I appreciate it.
It was great having you, man. Good catching you. And maybe if you're lucky, you'll see me in November.
Oh man, I'm not going to be lucky. You'll come see me. You'll have to come see me. Like you'll just be like driving, and you'll be like, man, I got to go see him. I got to go see him.
Or did I mean if you're unlucky, you'll see?
It's part of my Jedi charm. Sounds good, man.
All right.
Catch you on the flip side.
Keep building.
I will.
Catch you on the net.
On, man.
I'm going now. Heaven help you.
Please like and follow the podcast. Stalk us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Links in the description. And help us by sharing Hauntcast with all your haunted Halloween brethren. Until next time, stay scary.